Divide the people from the problem. Focus on interests, not on positions. This is the fourth issue about the principled negotiation method. The third principle is called invent options for mutual gain. Now this has two important parts that I would like to emphasize: invent and mutual gain. Again, a little story up front. It's actually my favorite from the book. Two girls are sitting in the kitchen and are fighting about a lemon. The mother comes in, takes the lemon and slices it into two pieces. Now the first girl eats her part of the lemon, and the second girl uses the peel of its part to bake a cake. Don't think about a negotiation in terms of split up of a pie. It's actually your task to make the cake bigger than it looked in the first place, to then distribute the parts to the people, and everybody should also get those parts that he likes best. How do you do that? Let me remind you about the interests. Interests are much better to work with than positions, because behind each position there are multiple interests, and every interest can be used by different solutions. Not all interests are in conflict. Some are shared between the parties. Israel and Egypt wanted to settle their conflict, and some issues, some interests just don't conflict with each other. The bodybuilder did not mind having fresh air. The mutual gain thing is quite simple. The other party has several options they can take that they do not need our consent for, and vice versa. We should not waste our time making any proposal that leaves the other party worse off than any of their non-agreement options. Even if we can talk them into it, they might not want to stick to our agreement later on, and if they have to, they will try to not let us forget how we damaged our relationship. You might have noticed that all the solutions to my examples, be they real or made up, were surprisingly simple. Now, not all solutions in real life are that simple, but most of the wise solutions are actually kind of surprising. They are surprisingly different from what we thought the zone of possible agreement to look like when we entered the negotiation. In order to create such options, not only do we have to understand their and our interests, first we extract as many interests as possible to avoid the one-dimensional fixed pie problem. But then we're facing a high-dimensional optimization problem. Now, I'm studying computer science, and I can tell you they are a bitch to solve. To make up for our mental lack of computing power, we have to use our creativity. And that is exactly where the first principle comes back into play. When I told you to help the other party to let off steam, it was not about being a nice guy. When their minds are filled with how you did them wrong in the past, you cannot expect them to come up with options that are good for you. It will help much to use creativity tools such as brainstorming. Again, your working relationship will have to be good enough for the other party to play along. Divide the creative phase from the decision-making phase. Make explicit that by stating an idea, you do not commit yourself to it. Start by making some stupid, freaky idea. Go to a place that is not associated with decision making. Sit on the same side of the table. Do whatever increases the number and variety of options to choose from later on. The assumption of the fixed pie is one problem. We try to cope with it by focusing on interests rather than on positions. By using creative methods, we try to handle the problem that we assume to look for the one single best option and that it might be anywhere close to where we thought it to be when we entered the negotiation. The next issue is about the fourth principle, called insist on using objective criteria. I would really appreciate some feedback. You obviously just watched this video, so please leave a comment.